Welcome to another in the series of conversations hosted by the Trinity Chapel of the Church of the Holy Trinity. This month, we're celebrating Youth Month, hence our theme this evening, celebrating our youth, understanding their challenges. I now call on Brandon Adderley to lead us with the opening prayer.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, thank you for life. Thank you for getting us all here safely tonight and gathering for another conversation sessions. We thank you for the platform that we can use to outreach to others in our community and further abroad. Thank you for our panelists tonight. May we leave here with our minds full and open and just inspired about what we are going to hear from them tonight. And for those persons on their way, please bring them safely. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Brandon. Welcome again to another in the series of conversations. Tonight we're looking at celebrating our youth, understanding their challenges. Because you know, in every success, we have our mountain tops and we have our valleys. So notwithstanding that, we are celebrating and we're going to be highlighting some of the success stories from a number of the local organizations. We thought that we should still temper our joy and our celebrations with some of the realities that we are currently facing in Barbados. And we know over the years, we have had challenges in terms of growing up, in terms of adolescence, some of the challenges we face, decisions we have to take. So before we start discussion, I would just like to highlight some housekeeping matters. This time, we want persons to have your audios muted. At question time, in the question and answer session, we'll ask you to raise your hand through the prompt, or you can place your questions in the chat. And when you're called on to speak, you can unmute yourself, or that will be done. And finally, these sessions are sometimes covered by the media. So I'll use the word caution. Just be anything you say can be reported. So let us be as objective in terms of what we're doing, that we do not have anything salacious. Might be too wide a word. I don't think we should be having that tonight, but just be cautious in terms of how you say what you say, because we know that there are times that this conversations, it has been recorded in the press. As I said, we're looking at celebrating our youth, understanding our challenges. And tonight, we reached out to a number of our local organizations who would mentor, would help our young people in the area of business in terms of development. And we've got representatives from the Barbados Youth Business Trust, ICA, which is the Hemispheric Agricultural Area, and also Youth Commissioner, the Ministry of Youth Development in terms of our local department. So we'll start off this evening with Gregory Ferguson. Gregory is a business finance advisor at the Barbados Youth Business Trust, which focuses on helping young people get started in business. Prior to working at BYBT, he completed a degree in banking and finance. He has a deep passion for talent development, which focuses on everyone's inner talents that they can develop to be successful, or can be developed to create a business or contribute significantly to society. For this reason, one of his favorite books states is Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And this is one of his references in terms of it offers a win-win situation, which has inspired him to reach out and try to reach the state in every situation, looking at that win-win situation. Intimately, one of his favorite things to do is to listen to music of all kinds, from Afro beats to great classical music, because it sings to the soul and brings so much peacefulness. Discussions on personal development, education, and helping people succeed are topics that are of particular passion, since they are so critical to people's well-being. I now invite Gregory to make his presentation, and also he will introduce two persons that they've identified at BIBT to make a contribution as two of their success stories. Welcome, Gregory. I'm sorry, I have not been checking the, so it seems that Gregory is not on. So can I go to, I saw that Mr. Brian Hope is on the call. So Brian, can you introduce yourself and speak of the role that BYBT has played in your development? Welcome, Brian.
Hello, good night, everyone.
Good night.
So my journey with the Barbados Youth Business Trust, I am now in the genesis of my journey with them. So I just recently gotten started with having some meetings and getting some guidance with them. And in my journey, I have started a business, like let me say like a year ago, selling like cocktails and different natural juices and stuff. But my main goal for the business was just to like, because I'm a bartender by trade, so I was just mostly there to monetize my talent and make a little extra money. But I was getting a little frustrated and stuff because it wasn't really going as I had expected in terms of sales and marketing and being able to manage the money and so on. So I remembered that there's an organization that helps youth with business, mentoring them, giving them guidance and so on. So when they reached out, they put me on to Mr. Ferguson. He was very insightful. Like, he showed me how to sit down, how to take a step back and really structure your business in the right way. He gave me a perspective of the fact that you need to have a problem. Yeah, you need to be able to solve problems for people. It's not just about going out there and making money, but you have to be able to solve problems. So if someone is up there and they need to write and they don't have a pen, you could be able to sell that pen to the person, right? So I'm just in the stage right now of restructuring my business and being able to sit down and be able to know how to add value to people. So that has been my journey so far. I'm now getting started. So I am very thankful for the organization. I'm very thankful to Mr. Ferguson for all his guidance and all of his expertise in certain areas that he's showing me. And yeah, it's just my short little how far I am so far.
Yes, okay, thank you. Thank you. And we wish you success in your business, and we are told that we need entrepreneurs, and the businesses, small businesses are what are going to drive our economy. So you are on the the ladder as such. So congratulations. And as we go on this evening, if you want to make further interventions, feel free to do so. Now, another person from BYBT is Mr. Dorich. Mr. Dorich, if you can unmute and give us some background and tell us how you've been able to be assisted through the Youth Business Trust. Welcome, Mr. Dorich.
Good afternoon, good night to everybody. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, yeah.
All right, good night. I just want to say thank you to the Youth Business Trust for giving me the opportunity to speak at this point in time. And thank you to Mr. Brown for introducing me. My name is Kwame Dorich, I was stated before. I'm the owner of a business called the Math A+ Academy. All right, that's a little background about myself. I studied engineering in Trinidad for 4 years. I was successful in obtaining a degree in civil engineering. And one thing that changed my life at UWI was a course called Engineering Entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Right? Engineering Entrepreneurship. It was given in my last semester, and it was an option. All right, we didn't fully organize it, but it was something that, hey, you could have done the engineering course, the engineering entrepreneurship, instead of doing say a more harder course. So I was like, hey, let me take this here and get out of this place. And I took the opportunity to do it, and it showed us how to monetize ideas. You know, you will have ideas in your brain, you have ideas. By the end of the day, the idea must be able to solve a problem and make money. All right, at the end of the day, solve a problem and make money from the problem. All right, make money from solving the problem, not the problem itself. So it showed us that, and we had to do a course. We had to do an assignment to create your own business. Take an idea, run it through the value proposition and the business model canvas, and create a feasible idea. So my idea was very simple: teach math. Something that I see every day, something that I did every day. So I saw equal sign almost every course. So it was something that I love to do and I enjoy doing, and I like explaining and seeing people understand. So when I came home from university, just like every engineering student, came home and there was nothing to do.
Okay.
There was nothing to do. You calling everybody and there was nothing to do. And the student loan people were calling me. Like, Mr. Dorich, your loan is in arrears, sir. Yes, you have to pay. And it was like, well, pay with what? My clothes? And so I was like, hey, I legit took up the printout of the assignment, and I got an A in that course. All right, I felt really good about it, and I started pushing. I started teaching for free. Please note, I am an untrained teacher. I am an untrained teacher. So don't think that you have to do so much to get started. All right. All right. So I started teaching for free in the library in Spikestown. Because people were coming to me, my son got challenged with math, and my daughter, and I gave it for free. And then I said, hey, let me try this. And I went to the resource center. The resource center offered me the space to use. All right. And right before COVID, we had 2 locations in the north of the island. We had upstairs the fish market in Spikestown, which was a short office complex next to the Esplanade, and we had the resource center. So those 2 locations. Sometimes I had classes running. I'd be home, and we brought on some tutors, and tutors at home, and tutors teaching, and you just making sure everything goes well. And it was very exciting to see it grow to that point. And then COVID came, and during that period, I was like, I need some help. All right. So people always say, man, there's got help out there, but people are not looking. All right. So I got on to BYBT. I think I was in the phone book. I like to go through the phone book. I was like, there got to be somebody here that gave away something. There got to be, and call them, call other resources. And through them, I got my first advisor. It's Carrington. All right, Miss Carrington is a very wonderful lady, and she was somebody that I needed at that point in time. Miss, you know when people say straight as an arrow, Miss Carrington is straight as an arrow in a positive way. All right, and she was some person I needed in relation to. She's legal, all right, meaning that she's a lawyer or whatever the case may be, and it really benefited me in growing and seeing how to write my first contracts. You know, well, she wrote them, but you know, under advisement on what to do and that type of thing. And COVID came. COVID came, and a lot of people don't like me hearing this, but COVID did a lot of damage, but did a lot for businesses. I don't know people think and understand how COVID has pushed businesses beyond what they thought it would become. All right. So for me, COVID did. When COVID came, I just went directly online. I was like, how can I give the same class feeling through a computer screen or through a phone? Did my research. I was like, hey, all right, I need to get a tablet. Not a tablet with a screen, but a tablet I could write on that will mimic my writing on the screen. Right. I do some research. I called Promotech. And I got the tablet. All right, and it was flying from there. We gave lessons for 2 months for free, and we never went back in person to do a class. The only thing that we do in person is the 11th class mock exam. That's the only thing we do in person. All right, only thing. And right now the team has grown to roughly about 13 tutors. I would talk to Mr. Ferguson at how much, you know, how we doing. And I just want to say, I love math. I am the math man. And I have to give kudos to my team, right? Because I can't do everything myself. Right. So we start teaching from class 3 and we go straight out to adults. But the team that you have and the support that you have gives you everything, and it pushes you to the limits that you couldn't imagine. All right. And through BYBT, I was also linked with another advisor called Don Louisa, who's from Trinidad, right? Through the mirroring of BYBT in Trinidad, you know? And then I got Chris Alchek. Chris Alchek was through a online, I can't remember, it's on the online platform. I guess Mr. Ferguson can talk about that. When I came onto BYBT, I was connected to this international mentorship program online, right? And me and Chris Alchek still right up to now, right? But then I was sales now back then and making $700 in a month, you know, all right. And he's on Forbes. He's on the Forbes list. So you know, through BYBT, I got a connection with a guy on the Forbes list. You know what I mean? I'm like, boy, you can imagine talking to a millionaire. You could pick up the phone and talk to a millionaire right now. You know, like yeah, you know what I mean. Anyhow. BYBT has done a lot for me, and you guys can follow the page, Math A+ Academy. You know, we have a website also. And if you need assistance in any way in relation to math, in relation to, you know, views, you know, to be honest, I cannot tell you about business, meaning that I cannot tell you, oh, that feasible or that not. That is not me. All right, I am math. I have other ideas, but that is not me. I cannot tell you about math. But if you want to talk, you want to have a chat, I ain't got no problem. And you're going to face a lot of challenges. They're going to shut up now. You're going to face a lot of challenges. People are going to leave you. People are going to come. People are going to go. But always stay true to yourself. If I give up, as I look at it, if I give up, all right, I can't tell my son and daughter not to give up. You know what I mean? They can hear stories that, hey, Kwame had your daddy had a math academy. And you know, how that gonna make me feel? Ain't gonna make me feel good. But yeah, don't give up. Don't give up on yourself because you don't know out there for it.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Actually, I like the idea in terms that you said you recognize that you could not do it all yourself, and you actually have employed persons to assist in the tutoring. And that knowing where you are and your capability and when you need help is important. I see Mr. Ferguson is online, and you can tell us what you do and at BYBT, even though I read your bio and
Right. So
that
good
prefers
night,
that you're
everyone.
helping. Yeah.
Good night, everyone. And my apologies for the lateness. Right. So I'll give you two things about what I would describe myself as well as the organization. The organization BYBT was about over 20 years old. It was started by a group of social entrepreneurs who recognize that there are several people who don't have the social network or the resources to get started in business. They don't know how, basically, not like some people will be able to start businesses based on their backing from their families, generational back support, and so on. So BYBT was started to help to bridge that gap where they allow persons to come get some support, get some understanding about how to create their idea and how to push it towards a business and hopefully have a sustainable enterprise as they go forward. So we specialize in startups, mostly persons between 18 and 35. We do, as Kwame and Brian would have pointed out, we do mentorship. Those are professionals who lend their assistance voluntarily. They guide their stuff. The platform Kwame was referring to is Sky's the Limit. It's an online platform that we also pivoted well, COVID would have started and we went to an online system, but we usually use the face-to-face, when we say face-to-face, local business professionals who would guide you in the business areas, marketing, there's a lawyer, business support, contracts, different things that are business related guidance and from their experience. We offer training as well. That training is basically to launch your business. So a 13-week program, we managed to compact one of them into an 8-week program, but that is more so the 13 reduced. We also have a program. I think if there are any ladies on the line, there's an AWE, Academy for Women Entrepreneurs. We partner with the American Embassy, and you sign up for that. The deadline is actually this Saturday. Just say Friday for the sake of getting it in early, where they guide you through a training program from October till about February or March, where you build out your business idea using a business plan and a business canvas, and you're able to implement your idea. So if you can go to our website, youthbusiness.bb, and you see it there. We have the Barbados Youth Business Trust on Facebook as well as Instagram. Any upcoming programs or opportunities, you'll have it there. So we offer training from time to time. We also, in the final aspect, what we do is that we try to offer funding. Now, we're a charity, and therefore funding is dependent on donors. So what we would normally do is that we would be a lender of last resort. If you can't get money from anywhere else, we would assist you, but currently we are referring persons to the fund access as well as the Barbados Trust loans, depending on your needs. The trust loans is for smaller loans. Fund access would more cater to the larger loans. They lend up to 120,000 or 110,000, depending on what you require. But that is not something that they're selling like the bank. But what we try to do is that we are a lender of last resort. But right now we're not in the business of doing that right now. And it's easier to go towards those two institutions as developmental agencies to get any financial assistance. So those are the 4 areas. The 4th area is where you come to me and I help you design your business, help you discuss a lot of the ideas that you would have, how to implement the ideas, how to make it into a business venture. And I go through that process with you. We develop a plan, and when you're satisfied that I think I can handle it from here, then you're free to go on your own. And obviously, if you encounter any issues along the way, you can always come back and say, well, hey, I realize I have this problem. And it usually happens, especially if you advance. Kwame would have pointed out that he would have started and he had a few HR issues, and then he came to us and he got some more assistance, and we go like that. We are a charity and we don't charge for very many services. The training, it comes at a cost though, but in terms of the consulting and so on, we try to guide you on that one-on-one basis like that. I'm the business development advisor. And so that lends itself to what I do, which is business advice. One of my passions generally in life is that and the interesting is the church. So one of my favorite passages, motivations in terms of business support is that everyone has talents. There's a story of the three persons who came with talents, 1, 2, and 5. And the only thing, as I tell people, the only thing that the Lord was upset about was that the guy with 1 talent did not use it. And so your motivation, if you're a believer in God and so on, is that you should use your talent. And so in business, you are able to use the talents that you were given, and therefore your aim is to implement that skill, that talent and so on, and build on it and create more for yourself. Unfortunately or fortunately, entrepreneurship is difficult. I will not tell you it is not difficult. It is difficult unless you are very, very talented and you somehow know how to get the keys to life. It is hard, because different to having a job, you get up, you get work. The hardest thing you have to do is get up, get work for 8 o'clock, whatever, 9 o'clock, whatever time you have to get work, and you finish work in the evening, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, whatever time you finish. Entrepreneurship does not work like that. And so I try to prepare people for the mindset that you're always thinking of how to improve, how to create business for yourself, and how to build and use the talents that you have. It will draw on all of your weaknesses as well as all of your strengths. It exposes you. And so we offer at Barbados Youth Business Trust the opportunity to have that support system in place where you can give us a call and have a conversation. Sometimes people just want to have a conversation. Hey, look, this is getting hard and I don't know what to do. And so sometimes it's just a simple conversation. Otherwise, sometimes it's actual plan. Sometimes it's training, depending on what some people run into difficulties. We might have some resources in terms of network. And so we assist in those ways. So that's a short,
Yes.
as short as possible in terms of what we and I do.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Gregory. Next, we're going to go to an area that I probably know a little about, where I'll introduce Damien Hines from ICA. Damien is the National Program Technical Officer at the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation and Agriculture, where he is actively engaged in supporting the country's agricultural development. An economist by training, Mr. Hines has over 15 years of experience in providing technical support in the areas of protected agriculture, sustainable crop production, apiculture, bioeconomy, and value chain development, sustainable water management, and project management, all towards the improvement of our food security and the quality of rural livelihoods. Damien is also actively involved in capacity building at all levels and has delivered training and lectures in many agricultural related topics, including organic production, sustainable backyard gardening, the entrepreneurial opportunities in agriculture, and commercial products from the hive. He also served as a statistics and microeconomics tutor in the economics department at UWI-KFL. My interest in reaching out to Damien was the whole area of youth and agriculture. So Damien, someone I've known for a number of years, give us your background in terms of what you're doing and how you are assisting the young persons in agriculture, and then introduce the persons you've invited to share with us this evening. Welcome, Damien.
Thank you very much, Michael. Thank you to the Holy Trinity Church for inviting us, for inviting ICA to participate in this occasion. Good to see you, Gregory. After it's been a while, I know COVID has kept us apart. Good to see you again, Michael, I must say, after sharing some communication. What I want to start by saying is that you would have read my professional background. Had I taken the tone of Gregory, I would have also let you know that I also am inspired by music. I am a lover of music, a lot different genres of music, and like exploring different cultures as a matter of fact, right? And one of the things to take off from where Kwame had spoken about COVID and how he saw the explosion of entrepreneurship and that desire to look after one's own interests and agriculture, you may not be surprised, is an area that has created a lot of interest. I mean, when you notice the 2 years that we were in periodic lockdowns, what was in the highest demand? It was food. What was of the highest concern? Food. Apart from vaccinations and so on, food. Where are we getting food from? How are we going to produce food that's going to keep our bodies strong so that in the event of any other virus or outbreak or whatever, we have strong immune systems. So we took a serious examination, not only the fact in terms of how the prices increase. I mean, we went from, I know the example of okras going from $2 to over $10 per pound. The same commodity within a matter of months. Within a matter of months. So the opportunity was there. So people would have recognized it, of course. You must be maybe aware, for those that follow the sector closely, the government embarked on a feed program where they would have offered persons that were retrenched and persons that were looking for a start, an opportunity to get land so they can do some agriculture and so on. But all of this would have come out and been born out of, as I say, this renewed interest in agriculture. And of course, through the BYBT, we would have also been able to participate in training. I believe it was organic agriculture a few years ago. So we recognize the interest is there. So sorry for the long run up. I'm now going to start the bowl because I want to also say that this is our 80th anniversary. So it gives us even greater pleasure to be here joining you all tonight. But I know that on the call, we may have a few people that are not familiar with the organization. So, and I do believe that I want to give the youth that I've invited here to share their stories the opportunity to pretty much have more time than maybe necessary. So I am not going to be very long. But established in 1942 at its current headquarters in Costa Rica, the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture is a specialized agency for agriculture in the Inter-American system that supports the efforts of our member states to achieve agricultural development and rural well-being. The Institute provides cooperation services through close and permanent work with its member states, addressing their needs in a timely manner. Without doubt, ICA's most valuable asset is the close relationship it maintains with its beneficiaries, with the beneficiaries of its work. And we're going to get to talk about those beneficiaries shortly because youth are one of the main beneficiaries of our work. We have broad experience in areas such as technology and innovation in agriculture, agricultural health, food safety and quality, international agricultural trade, family farming, rural development, natural resource management, and the bioeconomy. Our mission is to encourage, promote, and support member states in their efforts to achieve agricultural development and rural well-being through international technical cooperation of excellence. One such group of beneficiaries is our youth. Recognizing that agriculture was not one of the major career paths being promoted and pushed among our schools, we made it our mission to address this deficiency by introducing the Youth Farm Summer Program in partnership with the TVET Council and the Ministry of Education. The Youth Farm was initiated in 2012 by our technical specialist, Dr. Roxanne Waite, who remains the coordinator of the program. And it is an intensive 8-week summer program geared towards developing agripreneurs, providing qualified labor and management for farms and other agribusinesses, and also providing a foundation upon which graduates can access tertiary education programs. Currently, all of the secondary schools that offer agriculture science are involved with the program. And to date, we have trained over 300 youth. And one of the things that we are most pleased about is that all of the youth, bar none, have qualified with either an NC or an NVQ or CVQ. All of them have certification. With me tonight, I have two of the shining lights, one from a few years back and one from not too long ago, right, who have graduated with the program. I'm going to give you the background for both of them, and then Ronaldo, if you're on, I will invite you to speak first. I will take it in chronological order, followed by Justina, who would have been our most recent graduate. But Ronaldo Burrows is not only the 2018 graduate, but he's also the valedictorian, right? Ronaldo is into, he into everything except, I can't even remember the animal he told me except, but right now Ronaldo raising ducks, sheep, goats, cows, pigs, chickens, turkey, rabbits, and even into horses, right? One of the things I remember about Ronaldo is that he actually transferred from St. Leonard's to St. George Secondary after taking part in the program. The program was based at St. George Secondary that year. And because the program is far more advanced in terms of the space, in terms of the number of animals and so on that they have vis-a-vis or versus rather St. Leonard's School, the teacher accepted Ronaldo's transfer. So he would have actually completed his upper school at St. George Secondary, where he would have been integral to working with the animals, working on the greenhouse, working in the open field production and so on, right? Right now, again, because of Ronaldo's interest, his enthusiasm, his knowledge, he's actually on the staff of the Greenland Livestock Research Station as of 2021, right? He would have graduated, he would have gone on, as I mentioned, a lot of our students go on to do further the studies in agriculture, and he would have done the program in Polytechnic and graduated from that program in 2021. And since then, he would have started working as one of the more respected officers managing the black belly sheep program and other animals, of course, that they have at the station, right? So Ronaldo is here to tell his story. I hope I haven't told all of it for him, but he will tell his part, and then following that, we will hear from Justina Bishop, who only would have graduated last year. And they say only would have graduated, but brought a lot of experience with her into the program itself, right? I refer to, and Michael, having been around so long, you must know the name Barry Bishop, of one of the more prominent long-standing dairy farmers, win enough prizes with Pine Hill Dairy for best milk and so on. But Justina is the heiress to that operation, right? Operating over 200, almost 300 dairy cows, 25 rabbits. I think Justina, you correct me if I'm wrong, or correct the audience. I believe it is you that start the rabbit operation. So Justina seeing where opportunities are to take the enterprise to another level, right? So again, she's still at school, no sixth form at foundation. So this is the future. Recognizing, of course, that agriculture has a lot of opportunity. They have chosen it as their careers, and I will leave it up to them to tell you why. Ronaldo?
Yes, please.
And I must say, I look forward to the exchange afterward, the open discussion.
Yeah.
All right. Good night, everyone. As they mentioned, my name is Ronaldo Burrows. I started the ECA Youth Farm program in 2018 after My teacher, Mr. Payne at St. Leonard's, offered me the program to further my studies in agriculture. When I first was in agriculture at the age of 7, my grandmother first bought me 2 blackberry sheep, a ram and a ewe, and I kept them and breeding through the years. But at that time, I only believed in blackberry sheep. Goats, cows, ducks, pigs, nothing was a part of my mindset of going. But after joining the Eco Farm program and seeing the diversity and the quality of all the animals, the different experiences and people you meet in the program, I left that program. As Damon said, I went to St. George, which I learned with the aquaponic system, the greenhouse, plants, chickens, rabbits, and everything essential from there. I started right after the year, I started with rabbits, I went on with ducks, Oats Orford, some piglets, and keep on cleaning. Have every animal in bars besides geese. After that program, I went and did my rabbit and became a rabbit rearing, civil crew in crop production. I went straight on to polling. Right now, I'm working with students, some classmates from Poly to further the farming area, which we're trying to start a farm near Sunset Farms, which we aiming for biodiversity. So we're doing with fruit trees, vegetables, cows, beef and dairy, goat, sheep, all different types of birds and species to help to expand the business. So it's a group of 5 of us, under the supervision of our teacher, Mr. On the supervision of our teacher, Mr. Richards at Poly, we are expanding our horizon with studies. 2 of us are at BCC at the moment, studying animals. I'm looking to go on to UE, while I'm at Greenland at the moment. So we expand our studies, listening to who we can for experience. Anything we don't know, we asking questions. As I learned a lot tonight so far from the people that spoke, I know where to look for help when they need it. At the moment, my main goal is plants, fruits, crops, the diseases, and different species of crops that we can use for the area we're using, which is a very clay soil, full of water. So I have to change all the things we learned over the years with different soils. I got reanalyze, so to readjust plants for that climate and water area, because we experience a lot of root rot, and within animals in the wet conditions, you can get a lot of hoof rot and disease, and then you don't want newborn animals in the water. So we have to reanalyze our facilities and crops we're using in that system.
Yeah, okay. That's good. All right, that's good. In terms of interventions you need to make as we go on, feel free. So we know, Justina, over to you.
Hi, good night. My name is Justina. I'm 17 years old, and I'm a past student who took part in the ECA program last year. And I'll be giving a small and very brief presentation on my life as a youth farmer. So I was raised on a farm since I could remember, so it was only natural in some way for me to help and get involved on the farm. I never really was the type to go on the yard and help my parents and sibling catch chickens or whatever to put in the crates, because at that time I hated to touch anything that scratched or bit me or anything. So eventually I decided that I had to eventually, get into it, and in order to make a living out of it. So eventually, as I got older, the more experience I had, my dad would show me the ropes around the farm, and then he eventually taught me how to do teach me equipment around the farm, such as tractors and skid steer and etc. As I mentioned before, I eventually had to start making I decided to make my own income. So this income came from breeding and selling rabbits. Although it's not very constant, it's a way for me to start a way of business. And it's not very constant because I am in school. So schoolwork, and then I have after school activities such as track. So I don't have much time to be, breeding and selling rabbits and getting out on the farm and etc. when I have homework. So it's a bit difficult. I also use young bulls as a way of income. So my parents invented this way for me and my sibling to make income. So when we have bulls on the farm, me and my brother would just choose whoever got to the bull first would then choose, oh, is my bull. So when we sell it, the money would come to us instead of my parents. So it's like a competition between siblings, and yeah. So then the money would be mine. I would then decide on when I choose some of these bulls to keep back on the farm for reproduction or to be sold as meat for the market. So for me, farming is not just a business, it's also a way of lifestyle. From my experience, it's also a bit tiring because as a young person and you live on a farm with nearly 291 dairy cows, bad weather tends to be the weather that cows like to break out on nights and stuff. So having to be running around at 12 and 1 in the morning, catching cows to put them back in the fence and stuff is a bit tiring. And then you still have to wake up for school the next day and then stuff. So after school, as a teenager, I like my sleep. So, bell rings and then I'm really excited to go home and take a nap. But yeah, so living on a dairy farm is difficult and messy, but it's fun at the same time. So the ECO program helped me to learn new things, meet new people and opportunities. For example, the ECO program helped me to get an opportunity to be at the program at the Nature Care, but I did not go. And the opportunity to share my story and a little part of myself today on this meeting. So thank you.
Good. Thank you. Thank you very much. I have not literally checked, but if Destiny Taylor is on, if she can unmute herself and tell us her story. Destiny Taylor. Okay. It's okay. I'm not seeing Destiny Taylor, but Marsha Davison, if you are able, I would like for you to make some comments at this stage before we go on to the question and answer period. Marsha Davison.
Hello. Hi, Michael.
Hi.
Thanks for having me here again.
Mhm.
I wasn't quite sure. Thanks. Hello, good evening to everyone.
Mhm.
Michael probably he didn't introduce me, but I am a therapist, a counselor, and I was invite here to, make comments. I suppose I've been listening and wondering where am I going to fit myself in here as a therapist. And I can hear the young people and Damien. Hello, Damien, a friend of mine. I can hear the enthusiasm from the young people, and it got to my first note, note that I jotted down today, as before I came to on the show, which was motivation, and I said purpose equals motivation. I like to see it that way because if you don't know your purpose, and if you don't feel purpose in doing something, if you don't feel that natural connection to doing something, like you can hear from Justina, and I can't remember what the other young man's name is, but I can hear the passion that they speak with, that they're not just doing farming because it's something they just stumble onto, it's something that they feel connected to. So I admire that, and that is what the point I want to make today is that with young people, because we're talking about young people, they can't seem to find the purpose in life because the school system is not set up to help them to, fully understand why they're there. They just do subjects, and that's the big talk around right now, that the school system needs developing more and having more encouraging creativity and innovation in the curriculum. And but I encourage young people to search for meaning, search for purpose, search for, become curious of what it is. Curious, and curiosity never killed a cat. I think they said it helped to build a mousetrap, something like that. But become curious of what it is that you're here to do on earth, what it is that you gravitate to, what is it that you feel passionate about, what is it that you find yourself researching on social media. Become curious of what it is, if it's arts, if it's agriculture, because everybody is not going to be into agriculture. I am into agriculture. I love agriculture. I came from an agricultural family, and so I think, sorry, I just had an interruption, sorry. So I think that the aim is to become very curious of what it is that we're here to do. What is it that we feel drawn to naturally, instead of struggling to go through school and do all this study at university and then come out and realize, well, I really don't want to do this job. Find your passion is what I encourage young people to do, and these young people have definitely found their passion. And that is like, it's always a joy to see when someone finds their passion. You can see it in their eyes, you can see the glow when they speak of it. You can see this light up. So it's that thing that makes you spark, that thing that gives you joy. And when you find that thing that gives you joy, I say that even though it's hard work, it's a different kind of hard work. It's a different kind of effort that is put in, because it becomes personal, and it becomes that thing that makes you feel alive, that thing that you get up and do every day. And that is a part of what I say would go hand in hand with mental health, because I think a lot of people out there are doing a lot of things they don't really want to do. They're in jobs that they don't like, and so they become stressed out easily. But if you find a thing that you want to do, and never give up on it, never stop looking. You're never too old to look to find that thing that you're here to do. I think one of the panelists, he said that we are here to, we all have talent. We all have a talent. We all have an innate talent we came here with. And to find that innate talent is I think is one of the purpose for us, because in doing that, we can spread joy, we can live more wholesomely, and we can be of service to humanity. Yeah, so Michael, that's my first
Good,
part.
yes.
I mean, there's so many things that I can touch on here, but I don't want to take
Okay.
up the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Because I can come back or
Yes, yeah, okay.
yes.
We now open for some questions and discussion. Because I saw some persons as the discussion went on, I said a keen interest that was exhibited. And I don't know, I don't usually call on persons, but I know there's an agriculturalist in our midst, that's Everton Hunt. And I'm calling on him to find if he has a contribution or question or guidance at this time for our young agriculturalists. Everton, over to you.
Yeah, yes, Mike. I'm enjoying the conversation. The two youngsters remind me of when I enter agriculture, and in fact, I entered agriculture at the age of 4.
Mm.
I was always in agriculture, and up to the day I got soaking wet being in agriculture, even though I'm retired from the Ministry of Agriculture. I want to say hi to Damien. I don't know if you remembered me, but we had some interactions at plant quarantine.
Mm.
But I'm very interested in the two young people. I mean, oh Lord, I could shake their hands all it now. I know that agriculture is in good hands when I see the passion that they have exhibited. And to the young guy who moved from St. Leonard's to St. George to just pursue his passion, I must congratulate him, because we also have this tendency to look down on people who are in agriculture. I could have continued in my the field that I was in first, which was teaching, but I always had a passion for agriculture. So I want to tell these two youngsters that, follow your dreams. Treat agriculture as a business. Treat it as a career path, and don't let anybody dim your lights in your pursuit of your happiness and the pursuit of a business. I'll probably come back in later on with my question, but that's just the opening.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Stragons, I didn't see any other. Sorry, I called on Everton because I know his agriculture is here specialist area. I want to go back to Gregory and Ashley BYBT. And I know you said that you're the land of last resort, as it were. But are you finding that your potential clients, are they being supported well enough with the agencies we have to allow them to pursue their entrepreneurial activities?
Well, I cannot speak to the internal practices of the other organizations, but from my experience, there are quite a few things to consider given our position that we took. We would have offered quite a few loans over the years in our 20 plus year span. And what we discovered is that it is all well and good to offer the loans. And with all good intention, people plan to pay, but there is a high risk involved. And and I myself as business advisor and so on would sometimes feel almost like a failure sometimes, because people's passion tend to wane sometimes. And I've found that the majority of persons who don't necessarily need loans do a bit better.
Okay.
Because they find ways to, let's call it, the official term is bootstrap, where you use the resources you have and make what you have do, as the local term would say, and then go from there. Similar to what I think it was one of the candidates from ICA, he pointed out his mother or grandmother bought a ewe and a two goats basically, or sheep, whatever. And so that propelled him to continue. Now, what would have occurred is that he may not have gotten that. Let's say he didn't get that, and he would have said, well, I need a loan and I want 10 or 15 or 20. And he would have gotten a loan, and for some strange reason, it does not translate into a sustainable business, because the debt sort of strangles you and you end up in that problem. The other issues occur sometimes in planning. Sometimes people don't really put much stock in the planning aspect, and therefore they just say, look, I want to start this business. And I start the business, and 3 months, 2 months, whatever time comes by, I feel like it no more, and it sort of eases off, and they don't follow the plan and so on. And so there's a lot of difficulty. So what we thought is best is that the persons that currently, until we revamped our offering, the persons currently offering fund access usually has a good track record. They would lend money. It takes a lot of deliberation. People don't like it, but there is access. It is no science, as I usually translate the story. How many of your friends do you lend money, and how much of them give you it back? As basic as it is, it sounds good to say, well, and put the blame on someone else, but the truth is oftentimes, you have the difficulty of persons not paying back, and the loan is not necessarily the loan acts as a hindrance very often.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Everton, thanks, Gregory. Everton, you want to come back?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can follow up on what Gregory said. Quite often, especially in agriculture, we tend to treat it like a sideshow and not have proper records. We don't have a proper accounting system. And very often we take the money out of agriculture and do foolishness with it. So as I was saying earlier, for these youngsters, they have to treat it as a business. You have to have proper records. You have to have a balance sheet at the end of the year, the month, or whatever. You're going to be spending top in mud. And at some point you will get frustrated because you will not be seeing any returns from your business. So that is one point that I know that happens in agriculture. People see it as a sideshow. I can plant a few okras, but I don't know how much the seeds cost. I don't know what the inputs are. But at the end of the day, they get $10. $10 can translate into a loss because you have not kept records. So that is one point that I would like to put over to these youngsters. Keep good records. Seek a business plan. If you're going into business, get a business plan and have a balance sheet so that you know what your inputs are, what your outputs are, and then you can determine if the business is successful. You're not going to get instant success probably in the first, second, or third, or even the fourth year. But if you keep good records, by the fifth year, and with a good marketing plan, you should have a good business on street.
Yeah. Thank you, Everton. Kwame, I was very interested in terms of because your background is in engineering, but you like maths, and you've pursued so that have you given up on your engineering? Kwame?
He's there still. I don't see his name.
Oh, sorry.
He was Math Academy, right?
Yeah, Maths Academy. Yeah, no, sorry, because I was, yeah, okay. He's probably dropped off. Yeah, okay. Damien, any further comments you'd like to add at this time?
Hi, good night again. Not necessarily. I mean, I am familiar, as I said, with the operations of the Youth Business Trust, and I'm glad to see that they continue to do that work. As Gregory have pointed out, you know, they recognize the gap within the social network and how it was difficult for a lot of persons to transform their ideas into enterprise. I believe that's what the slogan is, right?
That's a slogan, yeah.
That's the way. There you go, right? So yeah, I'm glad to know that work is continuing, and to say that in response to first of all, apologies. Good evening, Mr. Hunt. Of course, I remember you. You were all, yes, of course, I remember you. When I first joined ICA, in fact, you were one of the persons that I would have met in my early days. Yes, at quarantine, and I perhaps also through the 4-H as well. I stand corrected, but I do remember you certainly. And also, Marcia, good evening. Nice to see you as well. I didn't realize this was a family gathering. Yeah, so thanks for, good to see you all. To speak about with respect to the record keeping, yeah, that is a very, still remains a gap. What we do in our youth farm for all of the students, regardless of if it is crop production, if it is livestock rearing, aquaculture growth operations is the third CVQ that we offer more routinely. When we actually started with amenity horticulture. That was the only NVQ available within or perhaps within agriculture. What we have done since then, not only through the youth farm, but through a program with sponsored by the IDB, was the impact, the improvement of productivity through capacity building and certification in something along those lines, right? And we would have actually developed, I believe it was 7 or 9 agriculture related CVQs. So the 3 that we offer now would have been developed, which is crop production, livestock rearing, and aquaculture. We would have developed within the last 10 years, right? And in all of them, well, it is actually the labor requirements that the persons understand about record keeping, the importance of record keeping and how to do record keeping. In fact, we actually go a little bit further in that for one of the 8 weeks, all of the students, and this is the point I was coming to, all of the students participate in what we call Agribusiness Week. So being able to make presentation, what we call it the elevator pitches, that I know that the Business Trust would talk about, and so etiquette, how to develop proposals, those areas, and we do work with the Youth Environmental Scheme I'm not sure if BYBT has participated and done some work with us in the past. I know that for sure. As I say, yes, the Ministry of Youth, we invite a lot of the youth related and business related agencies to come. Fund Access will come and make presentations, and so that they understand exactly what is required for them to function as business people, right? So that is something that we definitely promote. And as I said, all of it. In fact, even the process, it may seem onerous, and Justina and Ronaldo could attest to the amount of paperwork they actually had to fill out. So to become qualified, it is a record keeping process that has to be followed. So even through that in itself, you know, this discipline of making sure you document when you do what and how much it costs you and this kind of thing is something that is kind of ingrained as part of the training.
Thanks, Damien. For those who don't actually know, how I know Damien, because I spent in another life, I spent a lot of time around agriculture. So, and because I came into agriculture through marketing, and one of the whole idea is the record keeping is I used to have these issues with prices. If you don't have record keeping, you don't know the cost, you don't know how to sell your products at. You know, you need to know your cost production and to be able to sell. So it seems that I failed in my what I set out to do all those years ago. But I as Arvijan said, he's happy in terms of the persons you brought tonight have given us encouragement, and also with Gregory, the whole idea, because we speak about in terms of, now you're going into economics, in terms of economies, and in terms of the businesses who will employ people. So you've got these platforms with regard to BYBT, ICA, and the other business trusts, the loans trusts, which is supporting those persons who want to get into the area. But the mentoring is key, and I am happy that, with regards to what has come out tonight, that your two areas, you are very keen in mentoring and making sure that those young persons are on the right path and will continue to be in the right path, that they can develop and sustain their businesses. So from that point of view, I'm very happy in terms of what has come out tonight with regard to that. The support is there for our young entrepreneurs. Now, as we're going to be wrapping up, so I will go back to those persons. I'll start with you, Gregory, and come down in terms of Mr. Hope, if he's still here, and then Justina and Ronaldo, with regard to any closing comments as we seek to wrap up this evening. So
in wrapping up a bit, what I like to encourage persons to do is approach. You have to be aware of yourself and be aware that we deal with persons between 18 and 35. So you're going through various developmental stages. And so you're no longer a child very often by the time you get to us. But some people grapple with that level of development. But you need to surround yourselves with people that have supportive ideas for your ventures, for your improvement, for your development. And that enables you to grow and develop positively. So that's just a short snippet.
Right.
You can move in that direction.
Yeah, okay. Is Brian still with us? If he wants to make any closing remarks. No, we'll go on to Ronaldo. Any closing comments?
Yes, please. Thank you for the wonderful session tonight. I learned a lot. I see where I can point my friends and I in the right direction when we need help and assistance in any part of our areas. If we lack any, as in, I already need help in some of the areas I'm looking at right now. So I know where to point towards and who to ask the right questions to. And yes, when I first start, record keeping was not part of my favorite thing to do. I joined I was part of the program, and I quickly learned that record keeping In order to be in farming, recordkeeping is the main and the most important thing to learn and master. So practicing over the years, I entered my own system, and this is gonna do it every day at work. From tagging to weighing lambs to getting growth rates, being in weights. With the milking, the average how much milk we get, so each year for each cohort. Record keeping is key in anything you do in farming, and it's very helpful to know you're making a loss or a profit.
Yes, that is true. Thank you. That
Thank
is
you.
true. And it's good that you recognize, even though it was a bit stressful, that but record keeping is key with regard to managing your costs and knowing what is happening. So that is key. So you were brought dragged into it, but you recognize the importance of it. Okay.
Yes.
Justina, any closing remarks?
I just want to say thank you for having me here today, and thank you for all the information you have given us, everyone, and to encourage other youths to join agriculture. It's not boring. It's pretty fun. You get to, deal with animals. They're not all that bad. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, and continued success. Okay. Marcia, any closing comments before we wrap up?
Yes. Yeah, well, I've been here. Everything just keeps popping up again over and over. For instance, the keeping records, I have here that keeping notes, buying a notebook and keeping notes and journaling, and planning, brainstorming, because when you're dealing with animals or even vegetables and that sort of crop, you can sort of like become more innovative in byproducts. So it might start out as one thing, but you might end up doing something totally different. So that's something to look forward to keep building interest, And the part about friends being surrounding yourself with the right people who have the same interests as you, people who can inspire you, that on the same wavelength, and to be very mindful of social media and where you put your brain, because where you put your mind, you want to constantly be feeding your mind with the right things, with things along the line of where you want to be. So basically, it's creating that mindset constantly, and that's the everyday job. Like every day, you got to keep reinventing yourself or re-inspiring yourself, so to speak. Yeah, so it's just about staying focused and keep planning, and there was stuff that I wanted to talk about, like self-care, and which really is, to me, equals to self-love. So self-care is basically setting boundaries for yourself, like time boundaries, acting out of integrity. So if you say that you're gonna do something, do it. Or if you say you're gonna meet some person at 10 o'clock, try to get there at least 10 minutes before 10. All of these things really do make a big difference in how you project yourself out into the world. So yes, that's it basically. Yes, thanks for having me.
Good, thank you. Okay, before I call on Jeremy Haynes to give the summary, I'm going to ask Brandon if he wants to make a comment, because I know Brandon has been involved in a number of things. I don't know if all is going smoothly, but I would like Brandon 2 minutes to give us your story, your successes so far.
Hi, good night, everyone. my grandfather was a farmer. Let me just start out right there. So, but I myself didn't grow up on his farm. That would have been my mother. Uh, the farming part really didn't come down to me. Yeah, he used to like kill goats and stuff, and like I used to watch the eyes, and the eyes really had me freaked out. So I was like, yeah, this is not for me. But other than that, me myself, no. In terms of successes, well, I would say that I did. Well, coming off from UE, I did do ecology with a minor in earth science. I do love sciences, so that's what I would have done. And the first thing that I would have right after UE, right after UE, all right, I finished my I did it in 4 years. I get it. I get out now. What's the next thing to do? Find a job. The most difficult thing at that time for me was, finding a job. And I mean, like, it was ridiculously hard. Sending out applications all over. And it's like, you want to fail, but because at that point I would have only had the degree, but I had no job experience. But in order to get job experience, you gotta have the job before. So it was like, okay, it's not making much sense, but okay. But yeah, I did find work at fish. I'm selling aquarium fish. Yeah, so that's still within the realm of agriculture. So for some reason, I still end up technically in agriculture sort of way. But not for food consumption, but for aesthetics. And I was good at my job. I became a salesman. That's where I learned to essentially sell. And from there, I moved on. I did end up teaching right after that. That was a whole experience. And for anyone who's thinking about teaching, if you're going into it, you're going into it in a half in a piece you're going into it, because that is a profession where you are shaping the minds of youngsters. And there are two youngsters in here, and I believe one of them would have talked about how his teacher helping him or encouraging him to go forward. So that was a positive for the teacher, seeing the student, knowing what the student want to do, and then getting the student from point A to point B where he needs to go, and giving him that boost and support. Yeah, so teachers themselves are also, let me just big up all the teachers in here as well. And then from teaching, because I only did it for a term, teaching is not it was not my goal. I realized when I was teaching, I actually could not do what I wanted to do, which was actually writing screenplays. So it was like, this is not for me. So then I graduated again, or found another job in terms of tour guiding, which also technically it falls under selling, because I'm selling you a product or giving you an experience. Working at Harrison's Cave, and that's where I still am. So talking to people, giving them good tours, experiencing, sharing with them my culture and seeing them happy and intrigued with what I'm speaking about in terms of the caves, whether it be the caves or we're going through the gully and I'm talking about the animals and the plants and the history behind it. That is a plus for me. I like to do that. I'm good at it. That's still not my real what we call it now, my passion. As I said before, that is where screenwriting and acting falls in. And in terms of that, I would say I am on course, on track somewhat, getting to the point where I've recently been a part of a project called Into the Darkness, which will be released in theaters this month, 28th of October. It is the first ever zombie horror film in Barbados. That is what I like to do. I write screenplays. So having that opportunity to work with that team was amazing. And from then it's like, yeah, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. So in terms of, and I heard a lot of persons saying, don't give up, don't give up, don't give up. Exactly that is, because people were saying, Barbados isn't really a place for that. It's really not. I agreed, it's really not the place for it. But you got to dig deep sometimes, and you got to take mud and turn it into something great, a castle, brick, something. And that is technically what we did, or doing. trying to change the status quo from, oh, we can only do certain types of films. So you know what? There's a whole entire world, and Barbados is part of that world. Why not just go big with it? So for anyone and their passions, as said before, don't let anyone get in your way. Go for it. It will be hard. It will be hard and it will be rough. But once you stick with it and you have that goal in mind of where you want to get, just keep going, just keep pushing. And that'll be my 2 cents. Well, technically about 5 minutes later, but my 2 cents. So I would say, yeah, I like to hear the youngsters. There are the two or three youngsters we had sharing their experience, and even some of the older persons, in terms of where they started out from and where they're going, and all of them share this simple thing in mind, that they have a goal of where they want to be and how they're going to get there. Obviously, the process of how we get there might change depending on some factors, but once you have that how I plan to get there, yeah, I think you'll be on the right track.
Okay, thank you, Brandon. Okay, Jeremy, invite Jeremy to give us a summary of discussion. Then I will ask Dr. Fingal to give the vote of thanks.
All right, good evening, everyone. So I will attempt to give a not so detailed, but not so long summary of tonight's discussion. So first of all, we began the night with Mr. Brian Hope, and he mentioned his journey. He mentioned that he was at the beginning of that, and he is a bartender by trade, and he wanted to monetize his talent. That led him to reach out to the Barbados Youth Business Trust. They assisted him with problem solving. He needed assistance with many things. And what stood out to me was he really commended Mr. Ferguson and how he was able to mentor him. And that was an important theme of tonight, the importance of mentorship. So from there, we went to Mr. Kwame Dowrich. His journey was a little bit similar to Mr. Hope. He mentioned about wanting to monetize his ideas as well. He talked about the importance of solving problems in order to make money and not the other way around, just thinking about making money. So that was really important. And what I also would say, what he said was that he mentioned the importance of just starting. He's not a teacher, but he decided to start. And also for everyone who missed that, he said he's the math man. So if you need any help with math, he's the man. Another thing he said, which I found important, was the importance of having a good team around him. I think he mentioned there were like 12 or 13 tutors, and that's important. The need to reach out for help, and it helps with the service, etc. So, and Mr. Brown also mentioned that about not being able to do everything by yourself. So I think that stood out with Mr. Mr. Dowrich, sorry. After that, we went to Mr. Ferguson, and he gave us a history of the BYBT. And please correct me if I get any of the acronyms incorrect. He mentioned it was a 20-year-old institution, and he mentioned that they specialize in startups, mentorships. He also said that the volunteers are the basis of the program, and some of the areas they focus on: marketing, the legal side, contracts, and etc. And he also talked about implementing ideas, and one thing he said, I think one of the most important was the challenges of entrepreneurship, and he mentioned that you have to be aware of those challenges. From there, we went to Mr. Damian Hines, and he talked about his sheer love of music with Mr. Ferguson. And he said one thing that really stood out to me was he talked about the COVID pandemic, and that was something that Mr. Dowrich said, that it gave opportunities. Mr. Hines talked about the FEED program, he talked about the prices of okras, which I found interesting because I didn't realize the price of okras went up so high. Shows you how much cuckoo I make, right? But anyway, Mr. Hines also described the Inter-American Institute. He talked about the close relationship with the beneficiaries, including the youth. And he mentioned training over 300 youth, which all have certifications. And from there, we went into Mr. Burrows, Mr. Ronaldo. The last thing Mr. Hines said was that Mr. Burrows raises every animal except one. But unfortunately, we never heard what that one animal was. I'm still waiting on it, but maybe we'll hear another day. So from there, Mr. Burrows gave his story. He mentioned he started farming at the age of 7. He started with the 2 black belly sheep. He mentioned his journey. We were all aware of that. He also mentioned aquaponics, which shows how well-rounded the program there is. And he talked about his various challenges, etc., which I thought was interesting, and about the crops and the importance of managing the crops and fighting against diseases. So from there, we went to Mrs. Bishop, Mrs. Justina Bishop. She also has a connection with farming. And she mentioned at first she wasn't really into it, but she grew to enjoy it. And she also mentioned about her, being in school and still being able to breed rabbits, etc. And she also mentioned those challenges also, which I thought was important. And then from there, we went to Marsha Davidson. She's a therapist and a counselor. And she gave a slightly different input tonight, but equally important. She talked about the importance of motivation. What stood out to me was she talked about purpose equals motivation. And she mentioned about being connected to your interests in life. And, tonight we focus on agriculture, and the presenters were very passionate about the area. She also encouraged the young people to search for meaning, and not only young in terms of age, but in spirit as well. She talked about exploring your passions, whatever they may be, and she talked about mental health and the connection with finding that passion. And from there, we moved on to the Q&A session. Mr. Everton Hunt, he brought his agricultural expertise, and he said, in his opinion, the agriculture is in good hands, which I agreed with him. But the important thing he said, the most important, was about the need for the proper accounting and the record keeping. And he mentioned that. After that, we went to further questions with Mr. Brown, and he mentioned about the business plans, inputs and outputs. And then Mr. Hines came back talking about the other services that are offered. He talked about elevated pitches and things like that. And he also talked about the record keeping, which is an important theme of tonight. And after that, we went to the closing remarks of everyone. To summarize briefly, what I remembered was about being cognizant about, where you put your mind. I think Marsha mentioned that. She talks about surrounding yourself with the right people. And then from there, we went finally to Mr. Brandon Atherley, and he gave his journey from agriculture to screenwriting and digging deep, etc. So that is my brief summary of tonight. If I left out anything, well, please let me know.
Thank you, Jeremy. I now invite Ms. Lana Fingal to give the vote of thanks.
Good night, everyone. First, let me say that it was an interesting discussion tonight. It was wonderful and very inspiring to hear that we still have quite a number of our young persons who are engaged and very excited about agriculture, and not only agriculture, but about entrepreneurship on a whole. Quite often, most parents try to encourage children to go to university, get a job, and that type of thing. But I think entrepreneurship is something that we really need to encourage amongst our youth. And it was heartening tonight to hear that coming from a number of you. So kudos to you. I should also say that I'm a banker by profession. And so I want to really urge all of you to the importance of record keeping, as everybody echoed tonight, because at the end of the day, without records, it becomes very difficult for you to obtain financing and to grow your business and that type of thing. And whilst you may start small, we want you to think big. We want to encourage you to think big. And to do that, at some point in time, you may graduate from getting a small loan to wanting a bigger loan. And we often hear that banks don't lend to self-employed persons and that type of thing. But quite often that is really because most self-employed people actually don't keep very good records. So I want to urge you to continue to keep those records so that you can continue to grow your business and to expand and really truly become the successes that you really want to be. So I want to say thank you to all of you for joining tonight. I want to say special thanks to Brandon for his opening prayer, for Michael, of course, for chairing the meeting tonight, Mr. Brian Hope, Kwame Dowrich, Gregory Ferguson, Damian Hines, Ronaldo Burrows, Justina Bishop, and Marsha Davison. Thanks to all of you. And of course, Jeremy Haynes as well, who also gave the thank you tonight. So on behalf of the Church of the Holy Trinity and the Conversations Committee, I want to say thank you to all of you. You're welcome to join any of our programs that are coming up. I believe we have another one next month. We're yet to decide the topic for that, but please don't be strangers, and have a good night, all of you. Thank you so much.
Good. Thank you, Lana. I now invite Ian Wade to bring the closing prayer. Ian?
Hi, good night, all. Let's pray. Lord, I ask you to lift the youth up and bless them as they go about their day. Please reveal to them yourself in any new way possible and remind them of your presence in their life. Help them to rely on your Holy Spirit for guidance and direction as they face the challenges of this new day. Help them to be a light in this dark world and to draw strength from you to fight back against the schemes of those who would lead them astray. Lord, surround them with people who will encourage them and build them up, much like everyone tonight. Grow the relationships in their life that they will support, encourage, and keep them accountable. Give them wisdom and discernment to move on from the relationships that keep them back from becoming who you call them to be. Develop in them an identity founded in Christ. Encourage them with joy in trying situations and comfort them when they are discouraged. Grow and stretch them in a new way, Lord, and pour out your grace and mercy over them when they fall short. Help them also to be a positive influence for all those in their lives and their peers as well. And we ask, Lord, to help them to set a good example and to reflect you in every way. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ian. Thanks everyone for being with us tonight. And we look forward to you join with us again for our November conversations. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
everyone. Good night. Good night. Good night.